Is Northeast Michigan's best news source. You're waking up to WBKB Early Morning, your first look at news, weather, and sports. This is Early Morning.
Alpena Regional Medical Center is helping students who are looking into the medical field with some funding. Plus, the Huron Humane Society has already sold out of their biggest fundraiser of the year. And there are new reporting standards for pensions. Find out why this was a hot topic at Alpena Public Schools finance meeting yesterday. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Reed. For a first look at the weather, let's check in with meteorologist Adam Claiborne.
Well, after a frigid yesterday, well, guess what, guys? We did have a frigid very night, and then temperatures, see where they are. 2 degrees below zero. North-northeast winds are at 5 miles per hour, and real field temperature is at 8 degrees below zero. Satellite radar showing the system is trying to push out of here. We'll see a few clouds throughout the day, but mostly clear by the time we make our way into the afternoon, and that is when we will be expecting temperatures actually to rebound. We'll find ourselves back in the 20s for our afternoon highs. Look at this right here. After starting off well below zero in Alpena, we'll find ourselves in the middle 20s for afternoon highs, 24 for us. And then by tonight, that's when things really start to cool off yet again, but not too bad. 17 degrees for overnight low. And we'll also see that more clouds will arrive, and that will be in association with our next disturbance that comes in on Friday. That will provide a very small chance of light snow showers. And when we'll be expecting that to be, that will be during the afternoon with no accumulations expected.
Thank you, Adam. Well, Alpena Regional Medical Center is offering students an opportunity to pursue an education in the medical field. The ARMC's Development Council is teaming up with past employees and affiliates to give a few local medical students scholarships. They're looking for students who live in the Alcona, Alpena, Montmorency, or Presque Counties. With a shortage of nurses, it's the medical center's hope that recipients of the scholarships will want to stay in the area.
Hopefully, they like the area and they want to come back here and maybe work in the future. Of course, that's our goal. There's a nursing shortage that was going on, and hopefully we could get them back integrated into our system and, help with their education.
There are a total of 6 scholarships available for students ranging from $500 to $1,000 toward their education. In order to apply for one of these scholarships, you can pick up an application at the ARMC Development Council office or go to www.myarmc.org. The deadline to apply is April 30th. Well, the very much anticipated Huron Humane Society Gala is sold out after just 3 weeks of ticket sales. The Huron Humane Society is funded by the community. 86% of their funds comes from private donations within the community. Every year they hold this fundraiser, and this year, shelter manager Natalie Francis said they had people reserving tickets before they even went on sale. They sold a total of 225 tickets for the gala event on Saturday, March 22nd. This event generates between $20,000 to $25,000 a year for the shelter and goes directly toward helping with the animals, medical expenses, food costs, and hygiene products.
This fundraiser here is very, very important to keeping our doors open, and especially this time of year coming off of high heating bills, and that is really pivotal to keeping us open. So.
The event will have a silent and live auction as well as a prime rib dinner. But don't worry if you missed out on this event. There will be another event in May, the Fur Bowl, which is a bowling fundraiser for teams of 4 to participate in. Francis says for those who wanted to come and didn't get tickets, they are still encouraged to donate to the shelter and can still contact them to purchase 50/50 raffle tickets. This winter has brought tough weather conditions in our area, which has caused an increased number of water main breaks. WBKB's Valina Jones tells us how the weather is affecting essential services.
I guess we just ride the winter out and hope that it ends soon.
An all too familiar thought in people's mind across Northeast Michigan that have had to deal with the effects of this year's abnormal colder temperatures. Michael Glowinski has been working in Alpena for the past 27 years and says he hasn't seen winter conditions affect pipelines and water mains this bad since the winter of 1994.
And that was a very, very cold winter also. We had 20 days where the temperature never got above zero.
Glowinski says the city of Alpena is built on pipes ranging from 1910 to 1920, which puts the city at a risk for more frequent breaks in the pipelines.
Anytime something gets old, it requires a certain amount of reinvestment into the system to make sure that you're going to have that continued good service in the future.
Repairing water mains can cost anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000. This year, conditions have not required United Water to conduct a water system run. However, colder temperatures have caused more than 100 pipes to freeze and a total of 11 water main breaks so far, an increase from last fiscal year's 8 breaks. And while we're only a few days away from the start of spring, Glowinski says Mother Nature is not done with us yet.
As the winter is turning to spring, we'll see a number of breaks at that time too.
In Alpena, Valina Jones, WBKB News.
Thanks, Selena. And establishing new reporting standards for pensions was of top concern yesterday at the Alpena Public Schools Finance Committee meeting. The Governmental Accounting Standards Board says that beginning in the fiscal year of 2015, APS will have to report their net pension liability in financial statements. This new GASB 68 standard will require this reporting for pensions across the country, including the Michigan Public Schools Employees Retirement System.
This is being done for transparency reasons and for exposure of this issue nationwide, that pension systems are struggling, and those obligations for current and former retirees still exist.
Now for Alpena, this number is very big because the pension system is not fully funded. Alpena's estimated proportionate share of pension liability and pension expense is about $55.5 million. This is not something the school will have to budget for, but it will be put on the audit. As part of the current retirement contribution, every dollar spent on wages already includes about 20 cents going toward this liability. Block says these new standards won't affect school operations, but the staff and community need to understand that pension liability does exist. And Alpena High School is in the process of adopting the curriculum for a new program that will greatly benefit students interested in engineering. After looking for a way to teach students in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM area of education, educators came across Project Lead the Way, the nation's leading provider of STEM programs. From there, they discovered an engineering curriculum that will teach students the entire design process from conception to production.
I think it's going to be terrific. We're really building up our STEM sciences. We have a wonderful Science Olympiad team. We have started a first robotics team. We're investigating a junior high robotics team. And we know by research and by what's out there, what the needs for jobs are, that STEM area is really growing. We need computer programmers, we need engineers, we need mathematicians.
The new engineering curriculum will be funded through a $35,000 General Motors grant that the school recently received. The first course will begin in the fall, then a new course will be added each year. Once students complete the engineering courses, they will be given the opportunity to pass a test and receive college credit. When WBKB Early Morning returns, I'm joined by the State of Michigan's maritime archaeologist Wayne Lusardi, who's here to talk about the shipwreck Nordmeer. Stay tuned. Welcome back. I'm Ashley Reed, and I'm joined here this morning by our state maritime archaeologist, Wayne Lusardi. Good morning.
Good morning.
And I know you're here to talk about the German vessel, the Nordmeer. And so I guess if you can kind of start by giving us a little bit of history about this ship, and then tell us a little bit more about the shipwreck right outside of Thunder Bay.
All right. Well, the Nordmeer was a German freighter. It's about 471 feet long. It was built in the early 1950s, and it was used out of Hamburg to transport a whole variety of cargoes. It circumnavigated Africa a couple of times, for example, bringing Opels and Volkswagens to African ports and picking up coconuts and animal hides and things like that. And in 1966, it made its way to Belgium, where it loaded on 990 coils of steel. And each of those coils weighed between 2 and 4 tons. It was destined to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the automotive industry. It came into the Great Lakes via the St. Lawrence Seaway, and when it was passing Thunder Bay and Thunder Bay Island, it ran aground on a shoal and stuck fast there.
Okay, and I know there's a lot of artifacts, so kind of tell me about the recovery of all of these artifacts from this shipwreck.
Yeah, well, I kind of joked before the Germans can actually try to get the boat in reverse, a lot of the area residents went out there and started taking things off of the shipwreck, and that's almost literally true. But ultimately, that resulted in the saving of those artifacts, because since then, the ship was busted up by ice, it was heavily salvaged, and it really went to pieces over the last 40 8 years or so. And what materials were taken off of it before they got wet were eventually saved. A lot of those artifacts were then transferred to the state or donated to the state's collection, and I curate right here in Alpena. And a lot of those, as you expect, are originated in Germany, and so they have German writing on them.
Okay, and then speaking of the German writing, I know that we talked a little bit about this before, but ACC, some students at the community college are actually working to translate
That's
these,
right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We work a lot with ACC's program, Marine Technology program, their GIS specialist, but we also work with Kathy Capias, who is a German instructor there. And a couple of years ago, we talked with her, and she has since been bringing over on a weekly basis her students, and they are given artifacts, they're given documents that came from the Nordmeer, and then they're providing translations for us. And that really helps us to understand the artifacts better, but then also to interpret the shipwreck better.
Okay, and I guess give me an example of some of these artifacts
Oh,
that
we
they
have
are
all. Yeah, we have all kind. We have everything from books that came out of the Nordmeer's library to each of the keys, the brass keys that were for different compartments and different doors have the names of those compartments and doors on them. That I don't know what they mean, but the German students do. We have cases of beer bottles and wine bottles and engine plates and other kinds of signs that were on the boat. Plus ship files. There are plans for the vessel and emergency evacuation plans and things of that nature.
Okay, and how many students are working on this, and how long does something like this take?
Yeah, well, it's been going on pretty regularly each semester for a couple of years now, and it's generally about 5 to 6 students that'll come in and kind of translate these materials. We always get new artifacts donated to us, and so it's sort of a never-ending process.
Okay, and what will this tell you about the shipwreck once these items are translated? And I mean, you've already had some of them translated, so as they're translated, what do you learn?
It's pretty surprising. Some of them are personal effects that are being transported. A lot of them are what we assumed were in German are actually in Dutch and other kinds of languages, which is pretty interesting. But it was an international traveling vessel, and so it's picked up a lot of things. There's a baby crib that came off the Nordmeer, for example. So things that are coming on that vessel from all over the world. And if you look at the Nordmeer and compare it to all of the other shipwrecks here, probably all of those other vessels had similar kinds of things on them that were not saved because they went into the lake and are there and have been lost.
Okay, and then back to the shipwreck real quick. Is this something that people can go out and see? Is there still a lot to see?
Yeah,
or?
It just about 2 years ago, it finally went under the waves. There was a piece of it sticking up out of the lake since it wrecked. And it's a fantastic dive site. It's full of fish, and it's a great place. It's a sort of a hazardous dive site, though, because it is only a couple of feet underneath the waves, so you have to be really careful approaching it. But it's a beautiful place to dive.
All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, sports is next with Shannon McGrath. And the Lions signed some free agents yesterday, plus Hillman took on Cedarville in a regional final rematch. Stay right here on WBKB for all that and more as the news continues.
Boys regional finals taking place last night up in St. Ignace. Hillman played Cedarville in a battle 1 year in the making. Last season, the Tigers fell 92-85 in double overtime to the Trojans, but we're hoping regulation would suffice this year as Hillman looked to win its 18th straight game. Above the bridge, some Class D regional hardware getting fans and players ready for action. Tigers Mike Klein tripling as time expires. Hillman up 6 at the break. Early stages of the third, Ty Jones from way outside. He has 27 points, but the Trojans fight back. Dan Stenbach with the follow. Then Brad Costley, bucket and the bump, the old-fashioned three-point play. We're tied at 35 until Caleb Williams steps outside. Cedarville takes the lead for good, snapping Hillman's 17-game winning streak. The Tigers end their season 21-2. Another Class D regional final, Augrey Sims and Frankfurt at TC Central. Panthers jumping on the Wolverines early. Mason Loney up and under. He's a high flyer. Frankfurt up 13. Augrey going inside to Kyle Schwartz. Quick hitter off the window. Wolverines down just 7 after 1. In the second, Frankfurt going outside. Connor Bradley, perfect form, perfect finish. Panthers up 10. Augrey responds. Ryan Caulfield seeing the 3 and being the 3, but too much Frankfurt and too much David Looney. He goes for 28. Augrey falls to the defending champs 90-47. Toronto hosting Detroit in NBA action last night, down 11 early. Kyle Singler driving layup, 29-21 Raptors after one quarter. Pistons on a run, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to Will Bynum, 29 all, 3 minutes into the second quarter. DeMar DeRozan, bottom left of your screen, sending the Raptors into the locker room on top. Second half, Pistons down 13, Brandon Jennings, the jumper. He ends with 16 points. Final attempt to come back in the fourth quarter. Caldwell-Pope from outside. Detroit is unable to start a winning streak, falling 101-87 to Toronto. In college ball, the Big Ten tournament starts today. Both Michigan and Michigan State have a bye in the top half of the bracket. Indiana and Illinois play at noon, followed by Ohio State and Purdue. The Wolverines play the winner of the first game tomorrow at noon. In the bottom half of the bracket, Minnesota and Penn State tip off at 6:30, with Iowa and Northwestern playing right after. The Spartans will take on the winner of that game Friday around 9 p.m. Football might be 5 months away, but the Lions have added some new talent to their roster yesterday during the second day of free agency. Seattle wide receiver Golden Tate will wear a Detroit uniform next season after signing a 5-year deal yesterday afternoon. Tate has spent the last 4 seasons with the Seahawks and a recorded best. He ended with a career best 64 receptions and 898 yards during Seattle's Super Bowl run last season. Tate and Joique Bell are the only 2 free agents to sign with Detroit so far. Going over to the softball diamond, winter is still unfortunately upon us, but the ladies of ACC are getting ready for the season ahead with multiple returnees and versatile newcomers. Last season, the Lady Jacks missed the playoffs by a hair. That left them even more motivated. The team has been practicing since January to make sure they not only have the skills, but team chemistry as well. ACC opens its regular season March 29th down at Oakland Community College. However, this weekend, the Jacks are heading south for some preseason action with a community college down in Ohio.
Having this weekend is actually going to help us a lot. It's something that we didn't get to do last year, so I think it'll definitely improve this year too, to help us get on the field and get ready in a game situation.
I know we all know that we're capable of winning, but I think that when we get on the field on Friday, it'll really definitely prove it to everybody and ourselves that we have what it takes.
This season, the players are using constructive criticism to improve every day, while also honing in on skills that have been ingrained in their bodies since they started playing.
This year, we've definitely put more time into some more critical drills to go back and focus more on the basics.
We are working on such things as footwork and better throws and better batting stances and that kind of thing to just make us stronger overall.
Coach Ryopel also says the team has a handful of players that can play multiple positions. The Jacks play at home the final 2 weekends of April. That's it for your sports this Thursday morning. Ashley, back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. Well, coming up next on WBKB Early Morning, more people are dead after an explosion yesterday in East Harlem, New York. That story and more after the break. Good morning and welcome back. I'm Ashley Reed. In national news, the latest figures tell us at least 6 people are dead after a gas leak triggered a blast in New York City. CBS's Marley Hall is on the scene where search crews are still looking for missing people.
With bright lights to show the way, rescue workers worked through the night searching for missing people in the rubble of 2 buildings that collapsed after an explosion in East Harlem. Overnight crews pulled more bodies out of the rubble. The victims are being identified. One is 44-year-old Griselda Camacho, a single mom to a teenage boy and a security officer at Hunter College. Another, 67-year-old Carmen Tenko, a dental hygienist who had Wednesdays off. Relatives were hopeful until the last minute.
My family's been trying to call her all day long, just hoping that, maybe she's in the neighborhood doing something.
People in this neighborhood say they had complained of an unbearable gas smell for weeks. Utility crews were on their way to investigate when the explosion occurred.
Come on, let's go help, man.
Cell phone video shows the chaotic moments immediately after a gas leak triggered Wednesday morning's blast. Huge flames leapt into the sky.
It sounded like a bomb.
This Google image shows what the 2 5-story buildings looked like before. This is what's left. Marley Hall, CBS News, New York.
The National Transportation Safety Board is on the scene to find out what caused the leak and explosion. In addition to investigating transportation issues, the agency is also responsible for investigating pipeline incidents. And yet another theory surrounding missing Malaysian airline flight 370, this one involving engine data from the plane. CBS's Susan McGinnis has the story.
According to the Wall Street Journal, U.S. investigators say data from Flight 370 suggests the plane may have stayed in the air for about 4 hours after losing contact with air traffic control. The news comes as Vietnamese and Malaysian search crews once again scoured an area in the South China Sea but failed to find debris captured on Chinese satellite Sunday. The images showed 3 suspicious objects floating in the same area of the plane's last known location. Several nations are searching more than 27,000 square nautical miles by land and air for any sign of the plane, including emergency signals from the Malaysia Airlines jet.
If the pingers are operating normally, if they aren't buried in the seafloor mud, if they aren't obscured by a lot of wreckage, they should be heard.
The Boeing 777 was en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing Saturday when it vanished.
The more time that passes, the greater the variability that's possible due to the intervening time and the wave action, the wind, the current that would have moved the debris.
Malaysia Airlines now says it's retiring the missing jet's flight code as a sign of respect for the 239 missing passengers and crew. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
Authorities have not ruled out any possible causes for the plane's disappearance, including mechanical failure, pilot error, or sabotage. Well, we are going to take one more look at weather. Adam?
Thanks, Ashley. Again, -2 degrees is our current temperature. Very frigid out there, especially for March. North-northeast winds are at 5 miles per hour, and we do have real field temperatures that are at 8 degrees below zero. So things are definitely cold for us, but throughout the afternoon, mostly clear skies will give way to mostly sunny skies, and that will really start to help us out with the temperatures. But you can see that most of the moisture is to our south. That will continue to be the case as this all starts to push off to the east throughout the early morning, and we'll be expecting mostly clear skies by the afternoon, which will really start to help with our temperatures. Let me just show you how much that will help. We'll start off well below zero for right now, but as we go throughout our afternoon hours, 24 degrees for our afternoon high, while seeing temperatures starting to drop off by tonight. It's not going to be too cold, only in the middle to upper teens for overnight lows, and clouds will start to move back in. We'll see our next disturbance come in by early Friday, and that will come just a very small chance of snow showers, and not really going to be expecting any accumulations.
Thanks, Adam. Be sure to tune in tonight for WBKB 11 News at 6 for updates in news, sports, and weather. Felina Jones will have your latest in local news. Meteorologist Adam Claiborne will have the weather, and Shannon McGrath will have updates from the world of sports. Also, don't forget you can read more about our broadcast stories and get the scoop on other news items online. Just visit WBKB11.com for sports, weather, and news updates anytime, day or night. Or if you haven't already, add us on Facebook, facebook.com/WBKBTV. That's all we have for you today on WBKB Early Morning. Thanks for watching. Good Morning America's up next.